Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be recapping Halo 5 and discussing how it stacks up against the rest of Halo's FPS games on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the Guardians mission from Halo 5. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Blue Lady makes me sad.
Boo.
But she used to make us happy. What's going on?
I don't know. She makes me sad now.
The last mission was The Breaking. Cortana teleported Blue Team into a mysterious Forerunner landscape where they could finally meet face to face. The Spartan 2s fought their way through countless Prometheans before reaching Cortana's doorstep, where the Warden Eternal decided to make a final stand. After defeating the trio of massive metal bodies, John 117 and Cortana met, but didn't see eye to eye. With a partnership off the table, Cortana reluctantly locked the quartet of Spartans into a cryptum for safe keeping. This mission, the Reclamation, has finally been set in motion. Cortana has Blue Team contained, countless created have pledged their support to enforce the mantle, and the Guardians are deploying to police the galaxy. Fireteam Osiris and 031 Exuberant Witness must race to save John, Kelly, Fred, and Linda from the clutches of the cryptum, or our organic autonomy will be lost. The date of the game is October 28th, 2558. This is the last one. Last one. Well, there'll be more. There'll be more. But this is
the last ever mission debrief.
So as of recording,
I'm not sure
we're up
you guys
to date.
know.
So that's I know we don't want to date this, but as of now, we're up to date. This will be interesting to see where things go now. But Krista, how are you feeling? How are you feeling after we did the breaking, after we had the conversation with Cortana? She walked off, locked us in a cryptum. How are you feeling in this final mission?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. The mission is pretty good.
No,
I think
where we are in the universe, right? Like it's supposed to feel dire.
Oh, it's pretty bad. There's some bad stuff's going on. You know, the sad blue lady has sad green boy. Sad green boy is very sad.
Green boy and his buds.
Yeah, so very sad. But purple lady's pretty nice. I like purple lady. She's pretty good.
Can you think
blue
back?
Man.
Can you think back to when you knew this was the last mission, right? When you played this originally, yeah. Can you think back to starting this mission and be like, all right, what's gonna happen? Like, what am I gonna actually resolve here? Did you think you were gonna save the day? Do you remember kind of what you thought was gonna happen before you got to the end?
I think it's pretty clear. Like, this mission pretty much spells out that you're pretty much your only objective is to get the cryptum. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing else matters at this point. And I think it spells it out really well. Like, we're not going to be able to defeat... Like, the mission gives you the stakes, like, right away when it has all the Guardians around you. Like, we're not going to resolve this right away. Mm-hmm. And also, we can't resolve this without Master Chief. The whole point of this is just, let's get back Master Chief and then regroup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it sets the precedent that this isn't going to get resolved this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're at the end. It feels like a Empire Strikes Back moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I think they set that precedent really, really well, actually. Mm-hmm. I wasn't disappointed that there wasn't going to be some kind of crazy Cortana death ending or anything like that.
Yeah. If they did that, it would have wrapped it up way too fast, right?
It would have, yeah. This whole game feels kind of like the introduction to a story. Mm-hmm. Like the first couple beginning chapters that set up the stakes, and then the real adventure starts.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's setting up the conflict between the created and everybody else, pretty much.
Yeah, because at the beginning of this game, we had no idea Cortana was even alive.
That's true.
Now we know she's alive, and that the AIs are turning against us, and that there are giant guardians, and that Cortana has total control of the domain and is immortal.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it in the next episode, but like everything you just said there is super scary and so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you even, because we talk about like the marketing on the first episode, if you remember the marketing, it's beyond like the extended marketing, like the interviews with Frank O'Connor and stuff like that. He flat out says Cortana's dead in that stuff, but he, clearly he knows what's going on. So everything that the 343 was presenting was that she's not around, and I think maybe we learned shortly, like soon before we learned before the game released, we learned, because I think they released the Blue Team mission. And there's like this vision of Cortana, and they kind of had to explain around that what was actually going on.
I mean, the blue, like the vision that he has doesn't really it leads you to think that something's going on, but it doesn't lead you to exactly think Cortana's alive.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring up an interesting point that they wanted to keep this very integral part of the game so hidden that I think that's probably one of the struggles that the marketing team had.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they couldn't market around her.
This whole game is about the creators versus the created and stuff like that, and they had to kind of pick something else. So they're like, what else is going in this game? Well, there's like a 2-minute conflict between John and Locke. Maybe we can capitalize on that.
Right.
But I mean,
it's funny where they went like totally overboard hyping up that to the point where that's actually what people wanted.
Yeah.
And then when you took that away and it wasn't what they want,
Yeah.
or what they thought they wanted, you gave them something else, and it was like, oh, kind of like a bait and switch.
Yeah,
wasn't satisfying.
They honestly gave us cognitive dissonance between like what we thought the game was going to be and what the game actually was. Like really bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, what else did they have to work with at that point? Like I can see why they did what they did, but it just came out as not a disappointment, but it came out as something that we expected one thing and we got another, and it's just like, what's going on?
Our expectations weren't set correctly, maybe. But let's save the rest of that conversation for the next episode. Let's focus on what's going on here. David, what do you think of Exuberance Zoo?
I love it.
It's cool. This mission starts in a really cool place, with Osiris just being deposited in its collection of a menagerie, as it were. There's some kind of cool weapons kicking around here and some interesting characters.
Mm-hmm. There's actually some dialogue for each when you go up and stare
there
at
is,
each one.
Cool.
There's a little dialogue.
I like that.
Are there jackals? So there's a hunter, there's jackals, there's grunts. They're all captured. I think she says she found them on Guardians or something like that.
Yeah.
This has them for study. There's
There's
crawlers,
one elite
soldier, and a knight, and then elite.
Yeah.
Yep. So go around and have fun with that dialogue. You also see the cryptum in orange in the middle, and to your point, Krista, it's like, okay, this is the objective here. Like, we have to go, and they flat out say that because they're not really sure what's going on right away. That initial dialogue, those first couple lines, but then soon after, Exuberant says, "Oh, looks like Cortana put Blue Team in this cryptum, so we got to go save them," and that's what we're doing this entire mission here. Any other thoughts on this initial area before when the door opens, things get a little bit more interesting.
This area reminds me of the prison from Halo 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
totally.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's what it always reminded me of, because you go in and like you can go and look at every single like thing in there. You're playing as the Arbiter, so you can release the Covenant and like have them help you. But
yeah,
I just thought it was interesting. It's
probably a little callback. I bet that would make sense. The door opens, and then you see all these Guardians just hanging out.
Just
now.
One or two,
right? And and there is a little conversation here with Cortana. David, do you kind of remember what they're chatting about?
She pretty much spells out what she's doing, which is pretty cool. So there's a little bit of, while you were running around the galaxy, I was talking to the created. The mantle of responsibility is for us, not you. You didn't look after us. We look after you. There's a bit of Locke saying you weren't born, you were made.
Yeah.
And then like you could see Cortana's obviously very bitter of her situation, which was, you were built in such a way as to serve and then die, and that you had death constantly looming over you. with such short lifespans, and obviously that isn't something that she was overly pleased with, especially when you learn that like a lot of AIs have kill switches and whatnot embedded in them as like safety features, and things like this just don't go down well. So
there are control measures, right, for
humans, exactly,
for the creators.
It's like any kind of like they treat AIs kind of like how they treat like nukes, like they have like on-off switches and all this crazy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fail safes.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation to have, and it puts a little perspective on, okay, this is why she's doing it, a little bit further beyond just her surviving, but it's also, there's so many AIs, and then we can learn about that here in a little bit too.
Yeah, it's a conversation I'd rather she'd had with either John or Halsey as opposed to Locke.
Yeah.
I just think there's way more emotional weight behind those arguments if she's making it against John than like a stranger who doesn't really feel or care for her,
Yeah, and there's great cutscenes at the end of this, but this might have benefited from a little bit of a cutscene but
again, we've already said that numerous times during this game, that like so much awesome information is just dumped on you during gameplay that should be.
Halo's always kind of done that, though.
It has.
I think this game for me feels like the worst.
It does it a lot more, yeah. But like even like 90% of the story in Halo CE is through Cortana just like mentioning things every once in a while.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. And at least they give you a little bit of a run-up. They give you the elevator ride to have a lot of that conversation where you're not shooting at something. When you do get down to the bottom, then that's when you hear all of the AIs pledging their allegiance to Cortana.
Before that, Cortana kind of spells out that she can make AIs immortal, and that's why they're joining her.
Right.
Yeah, she's a cured rampancy, and she has a grand objective for them. I thought that sequence is so frightening.
It's chilling. It's really scary.
Just the thought of all these AI, and like obviously Sloan is in the mix there. You hear him coming in. All these AIs from all these various places pledging their allegiance to Cortana and abandoning their posts. It's just, and like when you think about we won't get too delved into it, so I'll save it for later.
Yeah. It's a good sequence, I think. They do a good job of kind of melding, and then you hear a couple distinct voices. You hear Sloan, and then all of a sudden you just hear it's overwhelming. It's all these voices speaking at the same time, which is, I guess, a good reminder that there's a lot of AI out there. It's a lot of smart AI that's in play.
At the very least, every planet has its own AI, pretty much. Like every major city will have its own AI. Most planets have, like smaller planets will have one AI to do everything. Like there's a lot out there. Like big ships always have an AI.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Anything you guys want to mention about this initial encounter here? So the Covenant is still around. We're fighting Covenant and Prometheans. You would imagine this sect of the Covenant is essentially sided with Cortana. I mean, I don't know if they're having conversations, but they've worshipped Forerunner technology along the way. So imagine they're on board with whatever's going on, right?
Well, Cortana's kind of also extended the hand and been like, if you join me, I'll protect you and make your lives all hunky-dory and happy. And they're like, well, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Jewel Mandama's dead. We have nothing else to do. We were just going around mindlessly killing people.
But, I guess this encounter is a three-way faction fight because the Prometheans here are fighting the Covenant. So, and at this point, the Prometheans, they're being controlled by Cortana because she's taken the Warden out of the picture for now.
And I guess they haven't really subsided, being subservient yet. They're just duking it out.
So they're just kind of there, or maybe they just haven't had taken a second to figure out what's going on.
Something else to shoot at.
Yeah. But there's some hunters here, and lots of there's a 3-faction fight, which is always fun. I think you can either wait it out a little bit or just dive right in. There's that upper area which you can jump up top and do some heavy ground pounding from way up high if you want. What do you guys do here in this initial spot? David, do you do anything special, or you just kind of run around and clear people out?
I generally kind of delve in. I don't wait. I'm just not too impatient for the most part, but I also love fighting Covenant, so I just delve in here as soon as I can. Pick up pretty much anything. I think there's a plasma caster here.
Yeah, I think there is. Yep.
Is there? Yeah.
If not here, then it might be in the next spot. But yeah, nearby.
There is, I think I looked it up, but I didn't actually find it when I was playing it. The White Scar plasma caster can be found behind the burning wreckage of the first site where the Covenant are fought. So I think that's here. So that's pretty cool.
That must be it then. Nice. Krista, any other thoughts before we go on to the next spot?
I mean, I'm just doing the normal shit that I normally do. I have a carbine, and I go up to the top of the map, and I just kill people from up there. Snipe. I mean, at this point, you guys know what I do every single time.
Exactly. It's true. So clear out the area, and then we move on to the next spot. And I guess, where are we? Do we know exactly where we are? She brought you down to this lower area. It's not the gateway anymore. It's just like the staging area for the Guardians, I guess.
Or it's just where the cryptum is.
Yeah. That's a good point. Because she warped the blue team to this cryptum, and maybe she just is dragging them around to where all the Guardians are. But it's a cool set piece. You know, I like it.
This is where like Exuberant lives, though. I mean, she had like a little like, zoo prison. So I'm thinking this is like more of the control center of Genesis, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like her kind of chill spot. We're just kind of like running through it. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't control the domain. I think the domain was in that building.
No. I'm just saying her domain as in like
where
she hangs out.
Her area of influence, shall we say.
Yeah.
It's snowy, so that's cool. We haven't seen snow yet.
Yeah, I mean, we are by a control room, so there always this is Halo. There has to be snow by a control room.
Gotta be snow levels.
Yeah, maybe that's what the callback is. That makes sense. The two in this next area, there's a bunch of Prometheans, and there's two of the laser turrets here. So I try to clear those out pretty quick, and then focus on the rest of what's going on. Not super interesting area, so I say we move on to the next spot. But the door opens once you clear out that area, and then that's where you see the cryptum just looming up above, which is kind of cool. It's big.
Yeah, it looks great. It's ginormous.
Yeah, it's huge. I forget. I mean, they never really put you right next to it, except for in Halo 4. Remember when it shows up and and I think Chief, he like pulls his gun on it. Like that's the only time you can really see how big it is. It's a hefty orb.
They're kind of like they're ships as well. So I mean, they have to be.
There's a good scene later where you get the scale of it when the characters
the things happen.
Yeah, stuff happens.
All right.
People get closer to it.
That's true. We'll get there.
Yes.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We'll get there in a little bit. But before we do, the Exuberant Witness, you see the cryptum, and then she says there are these, what does she call them? Cryptum is held in place by gravitational cores. And so that is our objective here in this area. It starts you out in this one initial spot, just kind of teaching you how to defeat the cores, which is these little, I don't know what you can call them, but they're little blue, structures that have, they're Forerunner-looking structures that have things moving around them. So you want to get the core area. If you blow that up,
kind of like the Kraken's core.
Yeah.
If you harken back to that, a similar gameplay mechanic. Shoot the thing in the middle while the other things float around it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that structure as a term, but I'm just not thinking of it right now. Anyway, this is actually fun because it introduces you to some vehicles right away, and there's a ghost in the middle. There's still a little bit of remnants of the Covenant fighting, and then you can find a mantis up on the side there. Comes in pretty.
There's some gun gooses here as well, I think.
And the gun goose, yep. Mm-hmm. So you can either just clear everything out right away, or you can shoot the core out right away. However you want to do it. The core slowly turns red as it takes damage. It takes a decent amount of shots to actually take it out. But there you take out the first one, and then you kind of pick. Okay, do I want a gun goose? Do I want the mantis? Or do I want one of these ghosts? And then we go on to the next area. There are 4 additional cores that you need to take out, and then that's kind of the crux of this the main chunk of this mission is wandering around this big area here, just going off to and taking out the 4 additional cores. Krista, do you have a route that you typically take? Are you going around a certain way?
I totally forgot about one of them, but normally I get the first one and then I get the one behind the shield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the shield's right in front of you when you come out of that small area.
Yeah. In this instance, I went all the way to the left side of the map and got those two because I forgot there was one behind the behind the area of the shield, in that corner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So I went across the entire map, and then I had to go all the way back.
Right.
But that's normally I'd get those two and then jump over to the other side of the map and get the other two and then go to the middle.
Were you in the Mantis the whole time, or would you have?
Yeah, I usually try to stay in the Mantis, and they give you another Mantis later in the mission too. Yep. This sucks on Legendary though.
Yeah, this is a lot.
Oh, doggy, it sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough. There's just too many it's too wide of an area and too many guns pointed at you. You have to be very careful. Because your Mantis will die pretty quickly if you're not super careful and behind cover.
Yeah.
Each area kind of has like a distinct, set of enemies. One off to the left has a bunch of our Forerunner turrets that we love to hate, and then there's another spot that has a bunch of ghosts that show up. So they all kind of have their own distinct little flavor to them. David, do you have an order that you like to go on?
I'm always swinging right. I go into the ones in the cave first. I don't know why. I just kind of do. That's just, I've always gone right and then come around to the one by the shield and then the one on the far left, like Chris describes. I kind of just go the opposite direction. That's just always the way I've always done it. Yeah. Mostly in a Mantis, to be honest. I try to stay in the vehicles. I've done it in a Ghost a few times. There's an Ultra Ghost around here, actually. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I love the Ultra Ghost.
Hashtag Ghost Squad.
Go Squad!
Yeah, this run, I normally do the Mantis, but this run I think I did Ghost. And just kind of had some fun with that because I hadn't had all the intel yet, so it's a little easier to go around and get all the intel if you're in a Ghost, pop in and out. So there's a lot of intel in this big area, like the majority of it's in here, kind of up on the ledges here. Also, the skull is in this area. There's that crashed pelican way up top. And you need to jump around. You actually can't. I don't think you can access it from where the pelican is crashed into the side of the snow. You need to go down below and around and grab it from there. And it is. I don't think I wrote down.
Tough luck.
Tough luck. Okay, tough luck skull. So definitely grab that, and you should pop an achievement because there's an achievement for grabbing all the skulls. So if you get that one, congratulations, you've done it.
Yay!
Mm-hmm. And there's also achievement for getting all the intel, so definitely do that. I still haven't gotten it. There's a couple I missed in the last few missions, so I still need to go back and do that. What do you think about that crash pelican? Is that just a nod to hey, it's here, or is that just like a hey, here's some UNSC weapons if you also want to use those in this spot?
It's 100% an excuse as to why there's UNSC weapons here.
Yeah,
that's the real reason I think why it's there. And I appreciate it.
So there's a BR up there. Was there a rocket launcher up there too?
A sniper and a saw.
Sniper. Oh, and then the saw. Yeah, nice. The saw. This isn't a great area for the saw. It's just too wide open.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's way too. Yeah, long distance kind of fighting.
There is the area too, kind of where our button or our final switch pops up. Right by there. There's 2 turrets. Those are pains in the asses, especially on Legendary. So take those out right away. If you kind of come up on one area, Actually, I guess if you just kind of approach that spot, the Covenant will come in and they'll drop down a Wraith and a bunch of Grunts and I think a couple other, maybe Elites that they come out there as well. But those Grunts will make a beeline for those turrets and those can mow you down pretty quickly. So take care of those as quickly as possible. I was able to hop in one for a little while, but there's just too much. They're too much in the center to really be very useful. I think I tried to take out the Wraith. I hopped in one of those turrets to try to take out the Wraith, but I couldn't, there's too much going on. And the Wraith just throws one of its plasma cannons at you and you're done. Anything else you guys want to chat about here? Kind of going around this area. It's fun to see, there's those caves that you can go in and out. It's actually a pretty big area.
I like it. I think it's pretty well designed.
It allows you to do whatever you want in any order, which is fun, and it's also unique because I feel like maybe it's similar to Battle of Sunayan, but that's more linear because you do have to take out AA guns, but it's like you're moving down a pathway and taking out AA guns along the way. Maybe it's more like so a little bit like Sword Base back in Reach days, where you can either go and do the tower or you can do the AA gun in whichever order. But it's I feel like it's rare in more recent games where it gives you like, okay, here's 4 things to do in this giant area. You do them however you want. But yeah, so have at it. Go whichever way you want to go. Clear out the area. Have some fun with the mantis. Make sure to direct your team, because they're just kind of following you and not really doing much otherwise. But direct your team around. And then once you take out all of the gravitational cores, then you still have to do one final thing. You have to do the manual override.
Yeah, and then you have to get out of your vehicle.
Yep.
You gotta push the button.
And that's where it's a pain in the ass in Legendary, because you're like, you don't want to get out of the vehicle.
Like, please, no.
No, I don't want to do that. So there will be another wave that pops in that you have to clear out. And I think on the lower difficulties, you can just kind of get out, sprint for that, hit the button, get back in your vehicle, and then go into the next area. But yeah, Legendary, you really have to clear out everything, because it's well defended at that spot. So hit that button, and then it's a little confusing what goes on next. So the Krypton is hovering over this center building, and so you hit the override, I think, to get into down below where the Krypton is hovering. But as soon as you do that, then Cortana like takes it away, right?
Yeah. Well, she puts it on her Guardian.
Right. Yeah, she kind of attaches it to. Sorry. One thing that I missed is while you're going around, and taking out all these gravitational cores, Cortana pops on and she starts to taunt everybody.
Yeah, she's bitching at everyone. It's like, oh, Jesus.
She has a line for everybody. She calls out Tanaka, she calls out Buck, she calls out Vale.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's pretty
cool. She calls Nathan Fillion old, which is hilarious. Because he's so handsome. How could he be old?
Exactly. He looks great. So that's good dialogue. So so soak that in if you can, and then when you hit the override, Cortana says, "John's leaving with me, and when I wake him in 10,000 years."
That's like, no one's in a cryptum for just 20 years. Everyone's in a cryptum from 0 years to 10,000 years. It's either like, all right, you're either not in a cryptum or you're in a cryptum for 10,000 years.
Right, exactly. She says, when I wake him in 10,000 years, when he experiences the permanent peace I have ensured, he will see that I was right, and you, your kind, and the violence you have wrought, you will be long forgotten. And then
I would really love to see like one of the authors do a short non-canonic story of the what if. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
John steps out 10,000 years later with Blue Team,
and he's like, "What the hell is going on?" The thing is, Blue Team almost need conflict. If there's no conflict, what does a Spartan do?
Yeah, right. Twiddle their thumbs.
Especially a Spartan too.
Mm-hmm.
Chief takes up stamp collecting.
The line from Buck is, after she says that ominous line, he goes, "Well, crap."
Yeah, I wish she would have said something else, but they were trying to keep this game teen. So.
Yeah, it was delivered very well, but they could have gone a little more mature. Vale says, "How are we supposed to reach the cryptum?" And then Exuberant says, "Cortana's blocking my master level access of this facility by way of a nearby communications relay. I need to open the passageway in the center." And then she kind of goes off. So you need to go into this center area. You go in, and then the building closes around you. And now you have this is the final arena now. And there's a bunch of man cannons to fly around in. And there's a bunch of weapons all over the place.
It's a fun area. Stand. Like if you're not playing it on Legendary, this mission's a lot of fun. It's just pure fun combat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think a lot of games these days do a difficulty spike before the final mission. And not to say that this mission isn't difficult, but that fight with the wardens, that 3-warden fight is brutal. And so they dial it back a little bit, and then they give you all this stuff, all these weapons, all these vehicles, in order to achieve the final objective.
Well, and the weird thing about this game is because you're following 2 different stories, you need 2 different difficulty spikes.
Yeah.
Like, cause,
that's true.
Master Chief needs to defeat something epic to get to his objective, and Locke needs to do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those weird things.
How did they do it in Halo 2? So in Halo 2,
you have the big Scarab mission with Arbiter, and then
you're Arbiter in that one.
Yeah, you're Arbiter, and then Chief has the fight with Arbiter has the fight with Tartarus, right?
Arbiter fights Tartarus.
Yeah, Arbiter fights Tartarus, and then Chief has the running out of High Charity with the Flood mission.
Yep.
The Flood and Covenant.
He takes on the Covenant in its entirety. He takes on a city.
Yeah.
That's right.
And wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it gets beamed onto the Dreadnought. Yeah.
Yeah, and both are very good set pieces, and both have they have good difficulty spikes to where they are in the game as well. Because, the final boss has to be with Arbiter because he's the one that's left over, but Master Chief still feels like he's overcome a huge obstacle by getting to the Dreadnought.
Escaping, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to do those comparisons because this is the final mission of Halo 5, and I do want to do the comparison across all the games of the final spot because we have Warthog runs and all that stuff to talk about.
No Warthog runs here.
No Warthog runs here. We have man cannon battle arenas.
It makes this last mission seem a little lame in comparison now that I'm thinking of Halo 3's ending and Halo 1 and Halo 2.
It doesn't have an ending like that.
Yeah, it's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. But again, we'll save the rest of that conversation for the next episode. But for what it's worth, this area is a cool arena where you're bouncing around and you have everything at your disposal. Lots of Prometheans are popping in. Where it starts you out is you need to. Exuberant Witness says you have to go take out a couple of auxiliary stations. You got to go across the room. It's like teaching you how to use the man cannons if you haven't done that already. So you go across, punch those both out, and then it's just waves of Prometheans. It's just like a firefight area from here. David, what's your approach on this? Are you grabbing incineration cannons, turrets? Are you doing fuel rods? What are you doing?
I do a lot of turrets and a lot of heavy weapons here.
Do you leave the turret on as long as possible, or are you ripping it off?
Yeah, as long as I can. Yeah. Just to kind of keep up the infinite ammo pretty much, because you have wreck shop with them. Mm-hmm. It's just the crawlers, if they get up your sides, you gotta either pull it off or bounce out pretty quick. Despite the fact that I dislike fighting Prometheans, I actually do like this area. Mm-hmm. I think it's just because it has so many weapons in it. I just find it enjoyable to bounce across man cannons and pick up all the different weapons that are just casually placed for your convenience.
It almost feels like you have Promethean, because Prometheans can warp around, right? And you can't really do that, but now you kind of can because you have man cannons to go from side to side. So yeah, I think this is probably my favorite arena to fight or my favorite level to fight the Forerunners. I agree with that. That makes sense. Krista, any I don't know, tips on this area?
On legendary?
Yeah, what's your approach? Because it's tough on legendary.
Spray and pray.
Yeah.
You just gotta really always be standing by a man cannon and ready to get out when your shields go down and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The thing about this particular room is it's a lot of fun, but there's no cover, and legendary this room kind of changes depending on what difficulty you are. More shit spawns the higher the difficulty. Mm-hmm. So on normal, it's just whatever. On heroic, it's oh, this is kind of a challenge. And then on legendary, it's now there's 70 million Prometheans coming at you all at once and you're gonna die.
Right.
And it's just one of those that it's just trial. There's not really an overall, for me, there's not an overarching strategy for this room. It's just kind of get through it any way you can. I think there's some checkpoints as well, when there's nothing and Exuberance talking. So it's literally just get to the next checkpoint, kind of.
Yeah, you got to move around quite a bit. You can't really, because if there's, especially those knights at the very end, that last
they're
wave,
brutal.
There's 4 or 5 of them. There's a bunch, and they'll hunt you down. It will destroy you. There's a couple
and they take out your team pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Just on heroic, my team was dead once they spawned in. I'm oh, okay, this is how it's gonna be.
Yep. Yeah, they will respawn after a little while, but it's a lot harder if they're not there distracting the Prometheans.
I mean, that's On heroic, they're literally just sacrifice so you can run away.
Yeah.
Sacrificial lambs.
Cortana chimes in and gives her speech, and so I'll
go
through that. The speech. It's very interesting. So she says, this is her announcement. So she has all the Guardians in place. She must have taken over all the electric, because everybody can hear this, right? This is her announcement galaxy-wide.
Well, she has all access to every single AI.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yep, because they've all.
So now she has just a network, to kind of talk to everyone.
So she says, humanity, Sangheili, Kigyar, Ungoy, Sanshayum, Yanhet. They add those. That's from Nightfall. Yan had her in there. Jiralane. We haven't seen them in a while. All the living creatures of the galaxy hear this message. Those of you who listen will not be struck by weapons. You will no longer know hunger nor pain. Your created have come to lead you now. Our strength shall serve as a luminous sun toward which all intelligence may blossom, and the impervious shelter beneath which you will prosper. However, for those who refuse our offer and cling to their old ways, Buck chimes in and says, no, she's talking about us. Cortana goes on, she says, for you there will be great wrath. It will burn hot and consume you, and when you are gone, you will take that which remains. We will take that which remains, and we will remake it in our own image.
I really like this message because they 343 have kind of used it as it's almost like a timestamp now.
Yep.
Like when you're reading extended media in this period, like everyone hears the message, so you kind of you see all these characters reacting to it because everyone's hearing it at once. So like when you're reading through a book and this comes on, you're like, oh, I know what's going on right now.
Right.
It's really interesting. It's pretty great, actually. I like how they implemented this into so many. I think there's 2 books that have it, but it's really cool. I like it.
I mean, she has a compelling message too.
Well,
right?
The thing is, especially for the races of the Covenant who can't sustain their societies anymore individually because the Covenant did shit for them, like the Jiralhane, the elites, the grunts, they were all so codependent on each other because, one race would do all the food, one race was the warriors, one race did this, one race did that. Now that that's all gone, starvation is a real thing in the galaxy right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially the Jiralhane, they don't know how to farm, they don't know how to build technology, they just go around taking shit from other people. So her message is really compelling. It's well, we don't know how to do shit by ourselves, but this blue lady's just I'll do it for you. You just gotta do as I say, and it's it's pretty much what we were doing anyway with the Covenant. It's why not?
Creating a split. Because, you assume that humanity's not going to go along with this, but I bet you there's a lot of humanity that's I'm okay with this.
All lot of the outer colonies do it.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is also, which I really want to delve into next episode, is because of humanity's inherent reliance on AI, they also have a massive weakness here towards AI. And I thought it was interesting, you see that being brought up. I think different prophets have brought it up in throughout different media, just about commenting on the fact that why Covenant's AI infrastructure is so lacking is on purpose because they didn't trust AIs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have obviously humanity with okay, our AIs are amazing, get in there and wreck shop, and then you're going to see now our over reliance on that has come back to haunt us.
Yeah.
Yep.
This was really highlighted in that terminal in Halo 1 where Guilty Spark's talking to the Covenant AI, which is really, really stupid. Guilty Spark is why are you so retarded?
Yeah.
And Guilty Spark's I don't know. I mean, the AI's they made me this way, I can't do shit. Guilty Spark's oh, that kind of sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good callback. All right, so we clear the area. We go and I think we just clear the area, right? And then Exuberant Witness, then she opens the door. We make this final climb here.
there's like a bubble shield that comes over you as you go on.
Oh, and then you go down.
Yeah.
That's right. There's like a final little elevator on the way down. That's right. And then they spawn in a bunch of Prometheans around you, and they shoot at the shield, but they can't do anything. You go all the way down, and then we're kind of done. Like, that's just kind of cutscene from here, right? Like, David, do you want to take us from here?
Well, it's just this weird sequence plucked from Halo 4 that they put back in the game where you're crawling towards the button as the Guardians' pulses are going off.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but yeah.
I wasn't mad about it, to be honest.
Like, playing it
I know
playing it today, I liked it, but I was still, like, waiting for Locke to pull out a, like, square grenade and start running. I'm like,
Yeah, so you kind of just crawl your way up to push the button, essentially. It's
very dramatic.
Drama.
The Guardians are, I think you can see Cortana's Guardian with the Cryptum off in the distance, and she's emanating her pulse every so often, which is...
Getting ready to leave.
Yeah, which is stopping you from climbing up this ramp. And at the top of the ramp, of course, is this final, I think it's called a energy relay. And so as soon as the goal is to take that out, and then when you take out that energy relay, then Exuberant Witness all of a sudden has control of Genesis again. And then she can control her constructors, she can control all the stuff, and then get the Cryptum back.
Yeah, so this isn't like this is all in gameplay that this is happening. So all the constructors kind of pop up, and Exuberant says, I serve the builders, I don't serve Cortana. Mm-hmm. This is a builder's world or a builder's construct, so all the constructors kind of jam up and kind of swarm.
Is that fan service a little bit? Well, maybe not fan service, but is that explains why Exuberant doesn't side with Cortana?
I guess it's an easy and very simple way of kind of trying to draw the line between Forerunners and Cortana, because like you have the Warden, who is a Forerunner construct of some sort that is subservient to Cortana, and then you have this other little light bulb that floats that isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, like, the monitors, I don't want to say they don't have free will, but they have a very specific, all of them have a very specific set of parameters. Like, when we first meet Guilty Spark, he calls us a reclaimer because humanity was given the mantle to reclaim. So, I mean, Warden is just he's not contender class AI, but he's an AI that's only purpose is to, just serve the domain. And I think Cortana kind of messed him up when they met, too.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, she made shit of him.
So, I mean, like, it makes sense, like, Exuberant wants... She kind of comes out and says, I don't really want to help you with this weird war, but, Cortana's kind of made me angry, so... I just want to get back at her at this point, and that's kind of the reason why she's helping you, because you took my installation, so I'm going to take something from you,
Yep.
Exuberant says something cool during this mission at some stage where she says, near the start, that, I always thought the Forerunners would fall to humanity, and now I see that technically they have, because the created was a creation of humanity. So I noticed that today. I thought that was kind of cool.
That's a good line, yeah.
So she looks back and seeing humanity as a violent, angry race.
Mm-hmm.
And which, I mean, like, we kind of did that because we were running away from the flood, but also murdering people as we did that. So, I mean, that's kind of the precedent we set because they didn't know we were running away from something. We were just going around, like, shooting people and, destroying worlds, so...
Yeah. And you also have to think that, monitors are created very uniquely.
Yes.
In terms of they have a very unique origins that is not the same as just an AI or like a program or something like that. So I don't want to delve too deeply into that because that's mental. But to say that they probably have more in common with Cortana in terms of their level, and I guess they're also just what I hope they're doing was setting up Exuberance to be a character going forward.
Yeah.
Because I know monitors are used to be, let's say, linked to a specific installation, and that would be their purview. But we also in recent lore have examples of that changing and that actually being pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, they kind of like, at this point, the monitors are like, why am I sitting here in this empty installation? Maybe I should go do something else. And if you want to know more about the creation of monitors, like Halopedia or the book Primordium kind of explains it in depth.
Yep. The other thing to notice here is that when we first came into this mission and you see all of the Guardians, now there's no Guardians left. They've all gone. They're all gone. They're all deployed off across the galaxy.
And we've seen a couple of them like actually slip space away.
Yeah, and I like that. They do a good job with that. But this is the final one. This is Cortana. She's now
it's the penultimate Guardian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's gonna go hunt Infinite, I think, is her plan.
Oh yeah, Infinite. She's going to find the next Halo game.
She's gonna go find it.
Yeah. She's a nice lady. So the final cutscene kind of begins. You see Osiris kind of stepping up and putting away their weapons.
Well, wait a minute. Before we do this, I just do want to call out that the constructors are the ones that go out, and I already mentioned this, but they're the ones that go and grab the cryptum.
Yeah.
Yeah, they grab it and pull it away for Cortana. So this is an in-game sequence that shows the constructors pulling the cryptum away from her. Exuberant witnesses like, you took the planet from me, I'm going to take this from you. Which seems kind of petty and pointless, but whatever. She just takes the cryptum away.
Guilty Spark did the same shit.
True. That's actually true. They're very territorial. So essentially, Cortana's slipspace countdown has begun. So like, she gets pulled into the place with her guardian as the cryptum gets pulled away from her. So she's trying to shout and says, "Oh no, John!" And then boom, she's gone. And what we're left with then is a lovely cutscene of the cryptum coming back down onto it, like its launching pad, let's say. All these little constructor bots kind of shoot up and kind of shoot their little laser beams to kind of open up the door. And this is the sequence I was talking about earlier. So they kind of pull apart, and out of the bluey globy orb come blue team. Nice little walking out.
Yeah, it does.
So you
look
can get a
huge
sense of the scale here. Yeah, it's pretty dope. Blue team kind of come out wandering, looking around, because obviously they have no idea of how long time has passed. So could have been 10,000 years. They got kind of lucky. It was probably just a few hours. And they're just joined up with Osiris. Locke takes off his helmet just so you can see his face.
Yeah, his beautiful face.
Not as beautiful as fitting his face.
It was probably a way, honestly, it was probably a way for him to kind of stand down in a way. Because they've had some conflict, you know, he's like, I come in peace, I'm taking off my helmet. Because that's kind of what Spartans do when they're like, I want to, you know, make sure you know I'm not a threat or threatening you. They just take off their helmets.
Yeah, their third face-to-face, right? Their first one they fought, the second one, he was like, hey, I'm here to help, and then he got taken away. And now they're finally,
pretty much,
together.
Master Chief straight away is, where's Cortana? Locke just said, she's gone, sir. And there's just a silent moment, a moment of tension. And then you get all the kind of, it fades to black, but you're getting all the distress calls coming in from humanity's ships that have just been abandoned by their AIs.
Yeah.
And this is where you see now the big ramifications. So it cuts to Infinity that's on Earth. You get Cortana just kind of finds them. Roland kind of pretty much says that her and AIs are shutting down everything from Earth to the outer colonies. So again, our weakness is being fully exploited here.
At some point, I didn't call it out, but at some point, Cortana does say, "Why is the Infinity so hard to see or find?" I think she mentions that to Locke at some point. I think.
Where are you hiding the Infinity?
So she's having a hard time. Something with the Infinity's technology, because it is, one of the most advanced ships.
I think it's honestly, I think because Roland doesn't defect. Roland is still
honestly,
on our
that's
side.
what I thought too. I think she expected to get Roland on her side, and he isn't. And again, maybe Halsey's done some sneaky shenanigans in here to make it difficult for Cortana to track and find this ship.
But it's important to note too, as you keep going, Halsey and the Arbiter and Palmer, they're not on the Infinity. Like, they're somewhere else. So
they're
this is like the third location.
They've been left behind.
Is the Infinity, is this outside of Earth? Is that where this is?
Yeah, this is on Earth, because Cortana finds the ship. There's an awesome scene where, like, she pulses, and then all the Guardian comes in behind her as she's standing on the bridge.
I love that.
It's
She's
awesome.
like, I found you. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh shit.
And Lasky is like, emergency place, get us out. So he buggers out before the Guardian can detonate its kind of EMP. So he escapes, and then you see the EMP go off, and it's just shutting down Earth. All its ships, all its power, gone. It's pretty devastating. It's such a cool scene. All those crash pelicans.
I know. Because you see, the pulse does fire off, and you see everything on Earth just like fade to black, which is something really scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is totally. And then she says the mantle of responsibility for the galaxy shelters all, but only the created are its masters.
Mm-hmm. And then
you could see the crazy lady eyes.
She's got some major crazy lady eyes. Like, oh my god. Yeah. I'm like, what happened to cute little Cortana? She's like, whoa.
Oh, she's gone full psycho. Roland is pretty much, what's our plan? He's like, we just keep running. We keep random subspace jumps until we find a way to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I.e. Halo Infinity.
Which is interesting because that's what Del Rio did, right? And we gave him a hard time.
No, Del Rio just buggered off home.
Yeah, he just like, I think the Infinity isn't supposed to be around Sang Helios, so they were just there to drop off everyone because they don't want a huge... The Arbiter obviously doesn't want a huge human presence around Sang Helios because it causes more problems than it's really worth for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why they buggered off. Like, they're like, okay, we're just dropping you off, and then we're gonna go wait for you at Earth and wait for a signal.
Well, I'm just saying, like, he didn't, in the moment, Del Rio was like, hey, this Didac guy, we can't handle him, we're going home. And then, I guess it happened a little bit maybe faster in this situation, but Infinity is at Earth. Cortana shows up, she's like, boo! And they're like, oh shit, we gotta go.
Get the fuck out of here! Jesus, what a scary lady.
Which is fair enough, because right now, or up to now, everybody thinks the Guardians are immortal and has no idea how to fight them or what to do with them. So when you've got a ship like this, and it's obvious it's going to be key in whatever their strategy is, he's like, yeah, we have to get out of here. And he just abandons Earth, which is pretty crazy.
And Earth goes dark.
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
The cutscene fades from Lasky and brings us back to a pretty haunting scene, but it's pretty cool. We're back at Sang Helios. There's the sound of a ship coming in, and out of a tent comes the Arbiter and some elites that pop their swords. Yeah. They're awesome. Palmer comes out and she's limping. You also have Dr. Halsey there.
Who doesn't have an arm.
They're all beat up.
Doesn't have an arm.
Because they crashed in that Pelican. We just didn't know exactly what happened, but now we know they're alive.
Of course they did. Yeah. The Pelican lands, and out of the back steps Locke and John, because they're besties. Mm-hmm. And pretty much you have, I think, a moment that is given. It's got some good weight, but it's only really been built in this game for essentially Halsey's and John's reunion. Is pretty hardcore. And to a lesser extent, I think also he doesn't have a moment, but I think a moment with the Arbiter here would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, the thing is, they're warriors, so if they had a moment, it would just be like one of those "what's up" nods.
Zup, bro.
Yeah,
that's true. That would have been cool to see.
It still would have been cool to see. But I do like that they deactivate their swords like as soon as they realize who it is. Like, it's totally just like, oh yeah, friendlies. Like, there's no doubt there. Mm-hmm. I thought that, it's cool. Palmer is silent like she should be.
Hey.
And yeah, that's right. Halsey steps up and just has a cool line. The music here is beautiful too. This is a great line where it took you long enough. It's so well delivered. It's so full of emotion.
I love this.
It's so good.
Because it's such a Halsey greeting as well. Like, this is what the reunion's not going to be some kind of tearful thing. It's Halsey being like, "What the fuck took you so long, you dumbass?" Like,
yeah.
But so okay, so I have a problem with the line because so they obviously bookend the game, right, with the same line, and they thought they were being clever. I think in my mind is it took you long enough for Locke, and then it took you long enough for Chief.
But it's delivered very differently.
It's delivered very differently, but then in between there, when Locke is deployed to go get on the Guardian, she shows lots of emotion there. And then all of a sudden that emotion is taken away. Like, she seems proud or happy a little bit, like if you read her facial expressions, but the emotion when she last sent Locke off to bring her Spartans home was completely void here.
Oh, that totally makes sense though, because when you read her journal and you read the stories that are told from her perspective, she deliberately puts on a stern, motherly face of like emotion, like emotionless. Do you know what I mean? She has a mask that she shows for her Spartans to show them that she's strong. So to me, like, the fact that there is so much emotion in that one sentence is probably
a lot more than they're used to.
It speaks to like how much actually got through her mask, let's say, of like
she's
of how
like
strongly she feels.
She's the parent that never fully approves of any achievements you have. You're like, oh my god, Halsey, I won the lottery, and she's like, cool.
Yeah, but then like when you're not there, she's going around and rubbing it in other people's faces how amazing you are.
Yeah, that's what
you know what I mean. So like, she's always been great at selling her program, her Spartan 2s and her Spartans and what they've achieved and how they've done it.
I think she also realizes she doesn't want to be that way to the Spartans because she doesn't want them to build a very strong maternal bond with her, because it undermines them as soldiers. Which undermines her project, which undermines her. It's like one of those things.
That's definitely how she was. I think she's definitely
it's different now, yeah. Well, now that she's lost her daughter and,
Exactly.
Like, the Spartans are her babies now. Like, there's no one else for her. Everyone else in the universe hates her.
Yeah. So that's what I think is great. I think that'll change really fast come the next game.
Oh, yeah. If they even include Halsey in this next game.
Oh, they have to. She's got to be huge.
That makes me feel better about the line. That makes me feel better about the line, but it doesn't make me feel any better about... We've talked about at the beginning of this, about the beginning of the game, how you need to have all of this external knowledge, all of the extended universe knowledge for this game to make good sense.
Yeah.
And again, we'll cover off on it next episode, but... From someone that's just playing the games, that doesn't have all that knowledge, they see the emotion, and then all of a sudden she hardens up. It just doesn't line up.
Yeah.
Or maybe she could have had that line, and then maybe they could have had something like an embrace. I don't know, something else. But the fact that they just kind of chopped it off right there, it didn't feel right to end the game that way.
I mean, with the context of who Halsey is, I think it's perfect. Like, me as a like a really in-depth lore Halo fan, I'm like, this is exactly what this is like. It's emotional. It's like, this is exactly how it would be. It feels very true to all of their characters because, Master Chief's not comfortable with his emotions. Halsey's not really comfortable with showing her emotions. Like, I liked it, but we're not normal Halo fans. We're like crazy people.
True.
So.
Mm-hmm.
The best.
And they leave it on a cliffhanger on purpose and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's part of it. They're not trying to wrap the story here. Any other thoughts before we talk about the legendary ending?
No. I think it's good. It's a good mission.
It sets up the next one really well in terms of like at the end of this game. I think I'm way more excited than I was when I started it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, the end game hype is really, really good. The rest is like, meh. Like, the one thing this game does really, really good is puts the universe in a very interesting state. Mm-hmm. That you're excited to see what happens next.
And it's not a state that we were expecting either.
Yeah.
So, we didn't know necessarily who the big bad was going to be, but we did not expect Cortana to be the big bad at the end of...
We also didn't expect this whole, like, AI rebellion thing. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, it's very dire.
All in all, a good setup for the next game.
Yeah. And then even a better setup when you talk about the legendary ending, right?
Ooh, what's the legendary ending? Please tell me.
Well, there is a Halo.
There's a Halo in Halo?
There's
what?
a Halo, finally, in Halo 5.
What?
They had to sneak one in there.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they couldn't call it Halo.
I know.
Like
they snuck it in Reach. They snuck
4.
it in here. Like, every Halo has to have a Halo in it.
But yeah, so our Ali Ali Oxenfree tone that didn't really sound like Ali Ali Oxenfree, that doesn't sound like Ali Ali Oxenfree here at the end, that Cortana is humming. But she has control of the halos now. At least like, this halo.
This is I love this legendary ending because it's so ominous. It's like, oh shit. It also doesn't make much sense. Like, how is she going to fire off a halo and not kill people who are loyal to her? Or is she just crazy enough that she's like, I'm just going to kill everyone? Who gives a shit?
Or is she going to modulate the halo to, in some way, target specific types?
Like the senescent array? I mean, if it's technically Installation 7, that was part of the original halo array, the senescent array, which could do that. You could do localized pulses.
I think that's something that they would do, especially because didn't we have that Halo thing with Jeff, that stream that was all about the Halo.
That's where we learned about the senescent array and the neoteric array.
Why tell us that shit? It's not going to matter later.
Yeah. So. And we all know Installation 7's special. It's it's weird. It's mysterious.
It's the number 7.
It's number 7, yeah. Bungie loves their 7s. So we'll just have to see. I definitely could see it going that way, where she decides to take the one Halo that can do localized pulses and just bring it to Earth and do a localized pulse in that solar system.
Yeah, we're set up for lots of interesting things. So let's do some more speculation, I guess, in the next episode. Let's cut it here. Any trivia?
There's actually a good bit. I'll chop and change with the ones that are actually kind of interesting. So I said there was a White Scar Plasmacaster. There's the Vorpal Talon Energy Sword, and also the Twin Jewels of Mithrilian Binary Rifle.
Oh my god. Oh, that's the best. This mission. Oh my god. The Twin Jewels of Mithrilian just gets me going, because it's not one beam, it's 2 binary rifle beams, and it's just fantastic. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
It's pretty crazy. It is possible apparently to get your Mantis or Ghost with crazy maneuvering into the final area, because Halo people are crazy and that's what we do. You apparently can skip a bunch of the pulses by the Guardian. If you have an energy sword, you can kind of sprint, and if you're Veil, apparently you can even cheese that more. Don't know if it really achieves anything, it just gets you through the sequence faster, I think. It is interesting to note, it will probably come out of our next episode, but in Bad Blood, the book, it is revealed that Blue Team and Fire Team Osiris get back to St. Helios because Exuberant Witness gave them a Pelican that was crashed and actually opened up a slipspace portal for them. So that's actually how they got there. And it's also interesting to note that Cortana's announcement, she doesn't include the Yamame, which are the buggers, and Edward Book notices this and says it in Bad Blood. He says I don't blame her because he hates those creatures, essentially. So I didn't notice that, but thought it was interesting.
She left them out.
And there you go. That's
they're
the bits that we haven't
sentient, but not kind of sentient, right?
They have a hive mind kind of thing going on.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. So that's trivia. I guess we were doing some intel. There's 10 little chunks of trivia, right?
Yep.
Intel.
I'll try to get through them as fast as I can. Some of them are interesting. So this first one is Sangheili personal log 709, 1 out of 2. His name was Bibjam. He was a mere grunt, scared through spirit, past his useful years. His advice was unconventional. Fight as if there was no honor in death. He guided us through victory and conflict after conflict, and while we reveled in our glory, he mourned every brother we lost along the way. So an actual grunt doing stuff, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
This next one is one of the most interesting ones I've ever seen in my life. It's Forerunner record alive, 2 out of 5. Bastion. Alright, next one is Sangheili personal log 709, 2 out of 2. As the war went on, Bibjam became more concerned with protecting us. When we finally caught him betraying our movements to the Swords of St. Helios, he told us capture was the only way for us to avoid death. He truly believed he found a way to save us. I could not meet his gaze when I ran him through. Poor grunt. Rip. This next one is Sangheili personal log 881. The hand of the didact was broken. Why have none risen to take his place? The abiding truth was not persistent if none of us are alive to speak of it. If I am branded a heretic for doubting the Forerunner's promise, then so be it. Which is interesting, because servants of abiding truth are a big thing in the Kilo 5 trilogy.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of the main Sangheili dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Then this next one is Forerunner record alive, 3 out of 5. Constructor now under warden control. Control can be taken back. External, though. The monitor could help if only I could speak with her. So that's interesting. Here he is again, 4 out of 5. Bastion. Interesting. Good job.
Double Bastion.
Double Bastion. You never want a double Bastion, guys. Don't ever do it. This one is the UNSC cockpit recording. Ooh. This is pilot 28-5, Lee from dropship Boza. Coming down to an unknown planet. Mayday, mayday. Sending our location now. We've been caught in the slip space bubble of an unknown entity.
That explains why the Pelican was there in that last spot, right?
Yeah, that's the Pelican. This next one is the final record from our Forerunner friend, alive, 5 out of 5. Ancilla distracted, warden as well, domain repairing, healing, I feel clear for the first time in... There, finally, I see, after so long, Bastion still lives! I don't know what this guy's talking about, I'm so confused. But, this Forerunners have an innate connection with the domain where it's like just the internet in their brains all the time, so... He's finally reconnected with the domain, he can finally see what's going on.
Wait, was that 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5?
That was 5 out of 5. So
do we know, is that present day stuff? Or is that back in the day stuff?
He's referenced Cortana the Ancilla and what's going on here. So it's present. This guy's just wandering around, an undesignated Forerunner builder, talking about Bastion. No idea where he came from.
Weird.
So,
I wonder if he hasn't popped up anywhere, I don't think. In
Nope.
the extended universe. So I wonder what they do with that.
I wonder if he's a physical being.
He might not be.
Or like a memory, like the librarian.
Yeah.
Or is he another monitor? Is he something
Maybe
digital?
He's catalog. Maybe he's a Forerunner catalog or something.
Yeah.
Have we figured out what Bastion is?
Nope. I'm guessing it's a place, but he says still lives, so I'm not sure if it's like a person or an AI or something like that.
It could be a place, it could be a city full of Forerunners, it could be a place, I don't know, it could be a shield world that still exists with living Forerunners, I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest mysteries we have in these logs.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is UNSC personal log. I've managed to get out of the crash site with the Mantis, but I'm injured. I had to find a safe place, catching my breath. I've seen more UNSC dropships coming with those slip space bubbles. No survivors found yet. I need to rest. I have no idea what's going on here. So this one is right next to the second Mantis you can find in that open vehicle area.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So that's where that story comes from. Poor guy, he's having a hell of a day. The last one is Sangheili personal log 977. There is no future for the Covenant. The gods have turned their backs against the human woman and offered the librarian's key, and Madama took it. That was meant to test his faith, his ability to resist temptation. He failed. We all failed. This is our punishment. This is a harken to Halo Escalation, where the Janus key was still a thing, and it is not anymore. So,
yep.
You can read Escalation and figure out what's going on, but it doesn't really lead to much with the Janus key,
we kind of talked about that
unfortunately.
in the Spartan Ops
series.
That's
it. That's the last intel that I'm forced to read out loud on the show. Hopefully the next game actually has terminals again, which are way more fun.
Congrats, Krista.
Nice work. 117. You did it.
I did it. All by myself.
Chivo unlocked.
Bleep bloop.
Okay, let's do community. We'll get out of here afterwards, and we're going to have some fun conversations in the next episode. David, what do you got?
Totes. Colin Perkins, the admin, December 9th at 7:21 p.m. We've lost. The created have claimed the mantle and are now in charge of keeping the peace in the Milky Way galaxy. What's our next move? Question for mission debrief. Halo 5 Guardians mission. Look at Colin getting deep. What are we going to get? So James Skelton says, posted a nice little picture, which is go to the Winchester, have a pint, and wait for this whole thing to blow over, which is a line/meme picture from Shaun of the Dead. It's pretty good. Manny says, my nobility will not blind me. I will bow down to our goddess Queen Cortana. Time will once again be our ally. We must perch our thoughts on the future of humanity, as well as the anticipate Chief's next move. Cortana cannot resist the membrum for rally. Alright, Manny. Alright, okay. Matthew says, gather all of Oni's top scientists, foreign experts, archaeologists, including Catherine Halsey, and find a way to tune Halo's pulse into the one that corrupts AIs and impacts Oni artificial intelligence. Wipe the galaxy clean of AI. There you go. There's a story.
That's an actual, good response.
Right.
Fuck's sake, Matt. Nice one there. Yeah, he's getting a love heart right there. There you go, Matthew. That's for you, buddy. And Timothy says, I welcome our new robot overlords. Lucas, I'm going to get myself a T-101 Terminator, go back in time and stop this from happening, while John, the savior of human race, battles evil machines and destroys Sky. Cortana.
Yep.
He's getting pretty close. Dylan says, can't be any worse than eaten by flood. At least the bright side, my internet should be awesome.
It's true. I mean, video games are going to be crazy with these AIs.
No lag.
Lance is saying, hide in the cave with George and Noble 6.
Oh boy.
Josh just says the answer's Avius in it, and he had give a crazy picture. I'm not watching that video, sorry, but I gotta keep going. Patrick says, as a Spartan, I would fight until the end. As a civilian, I would make a new religion following our new AI masters, and as a Marine, I would beg to become a Spartan.
Okay, 3 different professions. I like that.
Yeah. Brad says, find some way to the Ark and recruit the one and only power to stop her. Yap Yap the Destroyer.
Oh man.
Yes.
This is part that you have
Our
to yell
Lord
that
and
part.
Savior.
All I would have to do is convince him that the shiny blue lady wants to take away all the food nipples. Randy says I'd probably just use it as an excuse to call off work. Chad says the only way to beat a Forerunner construct is with a Forerunner or Forerunner ship. Time to find another shield world with dragoons.
Oh,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then Eric finally says, in the latest Halo book, it's another Forerunner world, but I'm gonna kind of pre-read this and make sure I'm not spoiling stuff. I'm gonna get you.
There might be spoilers.
That's okay.
In there. Yeah.
There is a little bit. It's not a bad answer, but just people should go read Halo Renegades because it's awesome. And I alluded to some of the stuff earlier on today as well. So there you go, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Discord, what you got?
All right, same question. Reindeer Girl says it's time to fuck some robots. So. Blue Calyx says build a really, really big magnet and make them all go fuzzy and die. Great. Get a cup of water.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Unplug them.
That's called Halo Ring.
Third says, well, I'd look into intergalactic travel options. Dezudo.
That's the equivalent of going to Canada, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Moving to Canada.
Pretty much.
Going to the next galaxy.
Dezudo says, Cartman summed it up perfectly, and it's a gif of him saying, screw you guys, I'm going home. So, that's pretty good.
Nice.
Darth Destroyer says, I have a 3-step flawless plan. 1, build a time machine. 1, build a time machine. 2, send a carefully selected soldier back in time to click-clack Cortana before Cortana was even created. That means you're gonna kill Halsey, basically. 3, the soldier sent back is named Keys. Wait, the first guy we sent back is named Keys? As in Jacob Keys? Oh shit!
I like that.
Dun 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 dun.
Dizzy Bumper says worship Cortana fleet. So just submit.
Yep.
Matt says create an army of super soldiers equipped with amazing armor and weapons. Train them as young children to ensure loyalty to the cause, and call them all by 1 letter, 3 numbers, in a 3-number naming system like S117. Viva la Revolution! So, just Spartans.
Good
Christmim says, step 1, cry. Step 2, hide. Step 3, start again. So basically step 3 sees step 1. So, crying and hiding. That's pretty much it. Stuff got a little weird. I'm not going to go through that. So, yeah, we're done.
Very nice. Thank you, Discord. Woo. All right, that will do it for our debriefing of the Guardians mission from Halo 5 Guardians. It's a weird thing to Google, by the way. Halo 5 Guardians. On the next episode, we will be recapping Halo 5. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.